The real truth about alcohol and mental health. I've never spoken about this before. I'm going to tell you now. I got really down, when I was told in 2014 I couldn't get any medication to come off the booze. I'd had diazepam a few times. And 2014 I went back to the doctors after 8 years sober and started drinking again, assuming I could get this diazepam. And the doctor said, you can't have any because policies change, you get addicted to it. Now, I hadn't had it for 8 years. I was shocked. Well, that was my only chance of getting sober again. Get this diazepam, because I've used it 3 times previously. So I made an appointment to see another doctor. You can't have it. You may get addicted. So I panicked again. Why couldn't I have it? I was desperate to get it, because the only thing that actually stopped me boozing. And then I said, what should I do? And they referred me to this place for alcohol and drugs. Basically, alcohol is a drug. All drug addicts help me. No good at all. Then they told me to go to AA. No good at all. I needed the diazepam. I really needed it. I couldn't get it. I was fighting to get it off the internet at first, so I just self-medicated with alcohol. I felt a little bit better and had some more to drink, but as time went on, I got worse and worse. And then I got some diazepam from the internet. And that didn't do much good, but I got sort of addicted to that as well as the beer. I'd never been addicted to diazepam. The proper stuff given by the doctors was like a 5 or 7 day course. I couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it. Tried another doctor. Couldn't get it. It was impossible. Couldn't afford rehab. Tried a little bit to go with my parents and try and dry out a little bit of tapering off. That didn't work. Tried some time in Manchester with my daughter to taper off. That didn't work. I just come back and I started drinking again. I needed the diazepam. I couldn't get it. And then I got worse and worse physically and mentally. 2014 onwards. 2015 I moved flats, another flat in the quayside in Newcastle. I thought, well, that'll do me good. Change the scenery, but it was worse. There was more pubs there. As time went on, 2016, 2017, I couldn't hardly get out of the flat. I had huge anxiety. I thought I was going to fall over. I had paranoia. I had people dropping me food off. And I used to go through these times I was drinking much, much more and try and cut down a little bit. I was drinking all the time though. And I moved out of the quayside flat, went back to the original flat that had been rented out. I had to do all that up. I had to pay for that. And then eventually that went downhill because I couldn't get out of the flat very much. And I started drinking round the clock, 24 hours a day. And I felt so desperate. I couldn't let anybody in to fix it. I had no heating. During the winters of 16, 17 were horrendous, really cold around where I was. I was frightened to go out the flat because I fell over the ice and all this sort of thing, panicking, trying to get taxis to places, trying to get drink delivered. The anxiety was getting to a critical level then. And I'm ex-police and I thought, well, surely there must be a way of getting some help. I've got to get to hospital or something. I thought about committing a crime to get into hospital, at least to get into the police station, because I know there's nurses in there, and I know the forced medical examiners go in, and they would have given me something, but I didn't do that. There were all these dark thoughts about all sorts, and then I thought about self-harm. What's all that about, self-harm myself, to get into hospital? Which fortunately didn't go down that road again. I started again to just self-medicate with alcohol. And it was getting to the point where I was having a can of Stella just by the bed to get myself out of bed. And I noticed at the time my stomach was starting to get large. And I just thought it was a beer belly, but it started to get really, really tight and tense and hard. And my umbilical area started to swell up. And I was so ill I couldn't get to the doctors. I didn't want to go to the doctors anymore. I just thought, I'll just leave the other ailments, let it go. And I was sort of drinking myself to death. Parents were ringing me up. I was ignoring calls, or at least on my daughter. I tried to get to the pub a couple of times a week just to see some of society. I couldn't let anybody in the flat to fix the heating and the hot water. I had rats in there. That was the next thing. The rat guy came a couple of times. Then he wanted to be in the morning. I didn't want to let him in again, so I was living with vermin there. Rats where I was living, and they were crawling along the bed. I mean, it was absolutely horrendous the way I was living. It was worse than being a tramp. At least on the street you get some help. I had no help whatsoever. The doctors refused to give me anything. Come and see me. I went up again. You can't have the diazepam. You've got to do this and the other. I've tried every single thing. I had all these dark thoughts about what I was going to do to myself, and I unfortunately didn't do anything. But my health deteriorated just further and further. I had a couple of Christmases at my parents, 2017, 18, I was getting worse and worse and worse. I'd lost a lot of weight by then. And about 2019, the summer of 2019, I was probably about 10 stone weight. And I said to one of the guys, in the pub, the guy who I trusted, do I look terrible? I felt terrible. I couldn't really see myself properly in the mirror. I didn't realise how much I'd gone downhill. And at that point, I thought, I'm going to have to get some help here. So I asked a few more people, well, do I look rough? And they looked at my stomach and said, this stomach of yours does not look right. And this hernia was getting bigger on my stomach. So one of the guys said to me, October 2019, he said, if you don't get the doctors, I want to drag you there. So the next day, I rang 999. I filled a couple of cans of Stella. Now I was taken to the hospital on a blue light. And I knew then I was in serious bother, but I didn't know what was wrong with me. I never thought that I would have cirrhosis. So I was in there for 3 days, and then they started to drain this fluid off. I said, what's all that about? Oh, you've got cirrhosis of the liver. Such a shock to me. There was no build-up to it, no counselling or anything like that. So they took all this fluid off, and I was in the hospital about 3 or 4 weeks. Got back out, I couldn't go back to the flat. It was rat infested. I said no heating or anything like that. And I've got to live with my elderly parents, and then I got this letter with a list of symptoms and problems that I had, and I had decompensated alcoholic related liver disease, cirrhosis with a small cirrhotic liver, ascites fluid problems and spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, tonic-clonic seizures. I had loads of problems in the hospital, and I went back again in January. The hernia got bigger and bigger. They said I was too ill to have a transplant. I wouldn't have had a transplant anyway, I refused that, and I just thought I was going to die. Just at that time, in the January of 2020, COVID kicked off, so I was going to the hospital when the COVID was on. I was taken again. I got every month or so to have this fluid drained off, and then they sort of give me an operation on my liver. Put a stent in to try and open up the portal vein. Because what happens is when you've got liver cirrhosis, your liver shrinks. An ordinary healthy liver is quite smooth to the touch, the size of a rugby ball. When it gets cirrhosis, it gets smaller and smaller. It's got a sort of orange peel type of surface to it, because the nodules grow. Every time the liver tries to heal itself, it becomes scarred. And I had probably one of the worst livers that most people had seen, I think, at the time. And this stent didn't work the first time, typical of me. So one bright doctor said, well, there's not much we can do now. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, you have to get fitter and better to have a transplant. I thought, well, that's it, I'm dying, Another doctor dropped around me right in the middle of COVID again and said, well, try ballooning the stent up again. And they did that, and the ascites fluid started to dissipate. And then I still had this umbilical hernia. And one day I was at my parents and I had this plaster on the hernia, because it was a little cut or a little bit of sensitive skin, thin skin. I pulled it and started to bleed. Couldn't stop bleeding. Ambulance came again all during COVID, and they rushed me to an emergency hospital in Northumberland, and I was taken straight into resus. And the surgeon there said, I'm going to stitch this up. If this doesn't work, there's not much we can do. Because once this ascites fluid gets infected, this spontaneous bacterial peritonitis will kill you within 24 hours. And that worked. And then I just went from hospital to hospital to hospital, spent months and months in hospital trying to recover. Tried to eat myself away, out of the mess I was in. And eventually I got recovered in the end. And that's why I'm going to tell my story here. On YouTube, that's what I've been doing the last 14 months. What I'm trying to say here is alcohol. No matter what you drink, and I only drank lager and Guinness. No matter what you're doing, if you continue to drink, you're going to die early. I'm so pleased to be here now. I'm surprised I'm here now. And I don't take any medication. The liver function tests are fine. There is hope for you, but it will take you right down to the bottom. And sometimes you've got to get to the bottom to get up again. Some people have gone to the bottom and just faded away and died. So if you're watching this and need some help, get in touch with me. I do one-to-one mentoring. I'll do some lives at night. I've also got a private WhatsApp group. All the links will be in the description. My message to you today is, don't pick up the effing drink, especially if you're off it. You've been off for a day, a month, or 6 months. It doesn't matter. As soon as you pick one up, you'll be back to square one and beyond. And I saw people die in hospital. I don't want this to happen to anybody else. And I could go on for hours. I've got thousands of videos. But my main message is, for fuck's sake, try not to relapse. Get strong, be healthy, look after yourself, because life is very, very fragile and it doesn't last long. Speak soon.